Brad Vincent with the Vincent Realty team at Realty Right Texas, here with my fourth dad story. To catch everyone up, for those who don't know, I've been telling stories about my father since he passed away in January of 22. We're just over a year since he passed. Been telling stories about him at sales seminars and things like that. I've been getting positive feedback. Basically been doing that my whole life. You know, everyone always loves my dad's stories, but now that he's gone, I'm using this as a way to keep his legacy alive. So I've told 3 on my YouTube channel. This is going to be the 4th. This story is about a time in my life when I was a teenager and my dad fell in a really hard financial times. Growing up, we were lower middle class. My dad graduated high school and lived in Midland, Texas, Midland, Odessa area. He played college basketball for a season or 2, but he couldn't keep his grades up, got in some trouble, and had to go off into the world. And he was a oil field worker to start. But my dad was the kind of guy, he didn't have a lot of skills, didn't have a lot of guidance as a young man, and just kind of took whatever jobs he could get, learned on the fly, worked hard, and just tried to work his way up. So he went from being an oil field worker to doing sales related to the oil field job, and then got some better sales jobs. We relocated to Houston when I was in elementary school. And he got a good job selling hydraulics or hydraulic services for a hydraulic company. He learned that business and then decided to open up his own hydraulic shop and had a little bit of success. And my dad's life story is kind of we would go a few steps forward, then a few steps back. We'd have hardships. But growing up, I knew we were not very well off. We had this little car called a Daihatsu. It looked kind of like a Honda Civic hatchback. It was a tiny hatchback car, and we were a one-car family for a long time when I was a little kid. And me, my brother, and my sister, who we were all very large kids who played sports and stuff, would pack into this car with my family, and we'd go everywhere in it. And people would make fun of us because we looked like it was like a clown car getting out of this car. We didn't have cable TV. We didn't go out to eat. We lived a very simple life. I knew we were not well off, but we never suffered. You know, we never wanted for anything. I never went hungry or anything. But I just knew growing up. But my dad was the kind of guy, when I was a kid, he would always tell us he was destined for more. He would tell us, son, one day we're going to hit it big, and then we're going to do this, this, and this. He was a very ambitious guy, and I believed him. My dad had this personality. It was very bright, and it was inspiring. That was what made him really good at sales. And so I believed one day he would do it. So my dad kind of worked his way through some jobs. The hydraulic company did well, but then his business partner made some bad dealings and got in trouble with the IRS. They lost that company, and then again he fell off. He got his break, though, in the late 90s. He worked for this company called Winter Industries selling CNC machines. The owner of that company, Mike Winter, was a really good guy. He was a good mentor to my dad. He kind of took my dad under his wing, and my dad worked his way up to be the top sales guy at this company. And so one year my dad did so well that Mike gave him this big bonus at the end of the year. And that was the very first time that we had excess cash. So my dad went out and bought a custom van with this money. We took his bonus cash and bought this van. And it was this super nice brand new van with leather interior and had a fold out bed in the back. It had a TV with a VCR and all this stuff. And it was a super nice car. So this was the first experience we had having something nice. It was ooh, ah. When he showed up in that van, my dad was so proud. We went on to the following year. He had another really good sales year, started fixing up our house, It was this moment we all realized, it was okay, Dad finally did it. Well, my dad decides to go off. He's learned the CNC business now, and he starts his own CNC machine sales shop. He gets an office and a shop and starts storing the machines he's selling in the shop. Well, in the late 90s, there was a big oil crash, and that market was very dependent on the oil market. So basically, my dad's business just shut down. He had all this overhead. He had the building. He had the machines in the building. And him and his partner, Scott, started to really struggle. And what is impressive about this whole turn in his life is my dad went from being a baller. He was in this position where he'd been doing really well for a long time, or for a good run, and was the top dog. He was the guy who came in the suit and the nice car and wagged the fingers, and everybody respected him. And that was his identity now, right? Well, when that happened, he went straight from making, 6 figures to 0. So my dad got 2 jobs. He got 2 side jobs. He delivered pizzas and he had a moving job, okay? And I went with him on this moving job on the weekends. So my dad was moving 5 a.m. to 3 p.m. every day, 7 days a week. And after he got off the moving job, he would drive back into the Katy area where we lived, and he would do this pizza delivery job. He would dress up in this pizza delivery boy's outfit. He looked like a teenage kid. He was a grown man. He's my age now. He's 37, 38 years old. He'd put on this outfit with a funny hat, and he'd put the little clown thing on top of his car, and he'd go out and deliver pizzas, okay? And he did this for over a year. It was 2 years we struggled. I did the moving job with him on the weekends, right? And I'd get up with him at 5 in the morning and go do the moving job. And what we would do is we'd show up at this office, and they would give us a list of people who requested moves at their address. They'd give us a truck, and then there would be additional labor guys to take with us if we want. My dad's friend Neil, who passed away in the last year, R.I.P. Neil, also did it with us. But I remember how hard that job was for me when I was like 13 or 14 years old. I was struggling, and my dad was running this thing, 37, 38 years old, running up and down the stairs. We were moving like 6 houses in a day. And at the end of the day, he would pay everyone else first. He'd pay the labor guy, he'd pay Neil, he'd pay me, and then he would take what was left. And he was humble about it. That was the thing. My dad never complained in this era of his life. Here is a grown-ass man, a man who's made a great living for himself and a reputation for himself, and he never, ever complained. He just dug deep. And I learned a lot from him because I would ride in those car rides to and from the moving job with him on the weekends, and he would say, son, thank God that we are able-bodied, that we can make this living and pay our bills and that we can feed ourselves. You know, other people can't do this. They can't physically do what you and I are doing, right? He was thankful to be delivering pizzas at 38 years old after being a sales executive, right? And the culmination of the story is one day my dad gets a call to deliver a pizza. And he shows up to this very big house in a very nice neighborhood, and the person who answers the door is one of his customers. It's one of his top customers. And the guy goes, oh, John, hey, what happened to you, buddy? And my dad says, hey, the oil market got me. I'm just struggling to get by. And the guy goes, oh, yeah, it's ticked our sales down about 10% as well. Well, I got a pool party going in the back. I'm going to have to let you go, John. Thanks for the pizza, buddy. And, that's it. And so my dad is super embarrassed by this, right? But he never complained. This whole time it was going on, my dad never said to me, oh, woe is me. He never asked to borrow money from friends or family. He just got it done. He didn't complain. And I learned a ton about it. And I was talking to his best friend the other day on the anniversary of his death, and he reminded me, he said, I would love to believe that I could do what your dad did if I was faced with those hardships. It was a testament to his character, right? And I've often talked about this with my brother, my sister, my mom. We admired my dad so much for the character he showed. And he taught me that if you have an ounce of energy or will in your body, that you work for what you need. You provide for your family. You don't take a handout, This was him showing his character. So it's just something I've always been proud of him for. It should have been story number 1, to be honest. But I've got a lot of them. So this one was just reminding me. So that's story number 4. Dad, I love you. Rest in peace. I hope you guys enjoyed it.